All right, next up we have art brushes. So an art brush will stretch either artwork or embedded raster images, which is pixels like Photoshop. It will spread either the artwork or the raster image evenly along the length of a path. And as with other brushes, you can edit the brush options to affect how it works. We're going to use an existing art brush to create a fern plant. So the first thing we're going to do is come to our brushes panel. We're going to click on the extra menu icon here, and we're going to turn off all of the brushes one by one except for the art brushes. We're going to leave the show art brushes turned on. So show art brushes is the one that's turned on. So we have, if we look at a thumbnail view, we have a basic, we have a charcoal feather, we have a divider, and a dry brush. I just wanted you to see them visually, but we're going to go back to the list view. We're also going to go into the library again, and we're going to go again into artistic, but this time artistic charcoal pencil. And we get a whole bunch of options here. I'm going to switch to the list view. The one that we want to activate is the one named charcoal. There we go. We have just a plain old charcoal, and it added over here. So we can be done with this extra floating menu, and we have it in our current brushes within this one document. We're going to grab our paintbrush tool again. And before we brush with this charcoal brush, we're going to keep our fill at none. Our stroke color, we're going to change to fern green. So we're going to hover until we find fern green. It's that spot color right there. And we're going to change the weight of our stroke to be 10 points. So fern green, 10 points. And we're going to move our brush over here, kind of in the area of this rock and on the side of the hill. So we're going to start painting from the side of the hill down to the grass, basically, with this. So when we see this asterisk, we can start. There's our first one. And there is the brush that was applied alongside of it. If it's not exactly what you want, don't worry, we can tweak it, but I'm going to draw a few more. And there, I have my fern plant. With the selection tool and the last one selected, I'm just going to grab all three of them the easy way by going to select, same, and then stroke color. That fern green is only applied to these three. And I'm going to come over to the properties panel, and I'm going to group them together so they move as one. And then deselect and move on. Back with that brush, if you wanted something more precise than the brush with the asterisk, remember you can always turn on your caps lock and you get an X for a very precise location. Turn off the cap lock and you get back to the regular brush icon. All right, so that was using one that we got from the library. Now we're going to create an art brush from existing artwork. So we're going to go to Artboard 2, switch to my selection tool, move to Artboard 2, which is this tree that someone has made for us, and we're going to click to select it. It's already grouped, so all the pieces move as one. We're going to make an art brush from this. So to make an art brush from something, it either needs to be vector artwork in this file or embedded raster images in this file. The artwork cannot have gradients, blends, other brush strokes, mesh objects, graphs, linked files, masks, or text that is not yet outlines. So it has to be pretty basic vector artwork or raster artwork that's embedded. All right, back in our brushes window, and with this tree selected, we're going to come down to the plus sign and we're going to click on new brush, and it's going to ask us what kind we want to make, and we want to make an art brush. We'll say okay to that. In the name of it, we're going to call it tree, and you can see we have some different options with the width, how it's scaled, stretch to fit along the stroke length, or stretch to fit between guides. So right now, if we had a stroke in our artboard that was 5 inches long, it would stretch to fit along that whole 5 inches. The other thing that we can do, actually we're going to move on to that in a second. We're just going to say okay to this. We'll come back to this in a second. So click OK, click away to deselect, go back to Artboard 1, and we're going to click on this purple stroke, or this purple line, this path. We have a 10-point stroke on it from earlier. And instead of that, we're going to apply a brush stroke, and we're specifically going to apply the one called tree. So we're going to click, and look at that. It stretched that tree along from top to bottom equally. Look at the other trees in this, and you can see that they have a lot longer stem is not the right word. Trunk, tree trunk, there we go. So we can edit these brushes as well. So we're going to edit this tree brush and update the look of it on the artboard. So with our path still selected, it is, we're going to double click on the brush thumbnail to the left here. So we're going to double click on this, and that's going to bring up that art option again. Move it slightly out of the way so that you can see the actual tree, and click the preview button to be on. We're going to switch it to stretch between the guides. Right now the guides are at the top and the bottom, so it's stretched equally between here. And you can see the start is at 0 inches and the end is at 7.5, which is how tall this entire line is. We're going to change our start here to be a number, 5.875. And then we're going to hit tab, and the end is going to be where it was. So this was the 0 point, this was the 7 inches. Now we're saying do all your stretching between here. Place this on it, but then stretch this zone. Obviously they're giving us an actual number, but you could do trial and error and pull on these. It's also telling it which way it stretches. And we're going to say okay to this. And it says, okay, this brush is already in use. Do you want to leave it alone or apply it? We actually want to apply it. And look, it stretched it. It just left that top part at the size it was, but it stretched the trunk the rest of the way. So that's a way of modifying that. You can deselect, and we'll do a save, and we're done with our art brushes once we save this. This is good through page 344. Once it gives me that option. And you know I'm asking a lot of it. There we go. That was sarcasm. Just trying to save a file. All right. Excellent. When that's done, we're going to move on to bristle brushes.